Y'all, what is good? What is good? What is good?
Good.
There's so many good things. I'm Elizabeth. We're back with another episode with Tracy, who is probably editing the selfie that she just took of us.
You know, got to put all the little bells and whistles and the filter on all that good stuff. So, what's up, world?
Do you guys want to? We're also here with Melinda, who just is the digital marketing extraordinaire of the universe, and so good. I literally
The universe. Wow.
Yes, it had to have been like 10 minutes ago. I was like, "You want to pop on this podcast?" And she's like, yes."
I feel so privileged to sit with the media, whatever you said, of the universe.
You should. We all are.
Wow.
We're just here. We're just really here to just hype you up. We're not here for sneakers.
That's
we're
really
not
why we're here.
Surprise.
Oh, thank you.
Ambush, compliment
And
sesh.
nails. And we're here to talk about our nails.
We can talk about nails instead of sneakers. Are you guys sneakerheads?
I'm not a sneakerhead. Nope. Sure
I'm getting
not.
into it, but not.
What does that mean?
I think they're cool, but I don't trip. You know, like, oh my God, I got to get the new J's. I mean, I'm old school, you know, Nike, which, well, that is, but I'm just saying I'm not. Yeah, no.
That's hilarious. Will you
I'm
tell
not that girl.
the people who you guys are respectively, what you're about, and so on and so forth?
Well, go ahead, Miss Universe.
Let's go, Miss Universe. I'm going to get you a crown. Let's get her a crown.
Oh my gosh. No, I don't need a crown. It's already here.
It's a crown in heaven.
I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. That's not me.
Straight
Okay, so I'm Melinda Sanchez, and I do a couple of things. Several actually. So I am the administrative assistant and social media manager for God's Point Mission Center here in Houston.
Whoop, whoop.
For Eyes on Me, and my other job is with SoFlo Radio, the Christian hip hop radio station, and I do social media management and marketing for them, and I am also their listener engagement specialist. Sorry, Chris, I didn't do you justice.
Chris Chicago?
You're the queen of the
Chicago,
universe. Yeah. You're the queen of the universe.
Yeah.
And also Queen of the Universe.
And Equipped is another project, but it's I'm not on that right now, but I can talk about it. So Equipped app is the Amazon of Christian events. You can find anything, whichever city that you're in, podcasters, YouTubers. You know what?
Interesting.
I don't know if we have Kicks4Kingdom on there, so that's something we'll get on there. But yeah, for sure. And so my other thing, I do Uber Eats, and I just started yesterday actually driving people. And so...
How's that going?
Driving people for what?
You got flowers today.
I got flowers today. You know what, Nanette? Oh my gosh!
Oh, you're driving for Uber.
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
So
Okay, gotcha.
I'm an Uber Eats delivery driver.
I'm
so
gonna
I
call you
deliver
when I got a
food.
chick that needs picked
Girl,
up
no, don't do
off the
that. No.
street. I got a girl. She's at Motel 6. I need you to come right now.
Roll up. Skirt, skirt. No. Anyway.
Skirt.
Coming in with the Lord.
Miss Universe, is
Full
this
pledge.
you? I got a survivor. She's at Motel 6, room 375.
You have to get her a sash. Please get her a sash.
But I'm not giving her my crown. She's going to get her own crown.
Oh my gosh.
I was the queen before you. No,
Yeah.
We can share. Unity in the church,
Right?
ladies.
Yeah. No, Nanette was really sweet though. I picked her up at Walgreens, and she had a bouquet of flowers, and I was like, "Oh, you've got beautiful flowers." And she's like, "Yeah, you know what? They were throwing them out. Some of them were like wilted and like dying and stuff." And so she's like, "And I love flowers." And I was like, "Oh, that's so sweet. God's just reminding you of how much He loves you." And she was like, "You know what? Thank you for that. I needed that reminder today." And she says, "And you know, I got into this car and like, this is exactly where I need to be." And I was just like, wow. And that just like really touched my heart, because I was just like, wow, okay, Lord, because I already know, right, the way that He works. And so she says, "Yeah, I'm just going through a lot right now." And I was like, "How can I pray for you?" And she's like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah, come on, girl. Like, what do you need prayer for?" And so she just had mentioned a couple of things. I don't want to say a lot because I gave her my number in case, just to be respectful. But I prayed for her and just like, I don't know, just was strong for her, in the moment that she was just really needing it. And so we get to her house, and she's still talking to me, still in the back seat, right? And she says, "Here, these are for you." And I was just like, oh my God, I'm going to cry now, because, yeah. And so she handed them to me, and I was like, "No, but you love flowers." And she's like, "No." She's like, "Let me bless you."
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, thank you so much. And so, yeah.
So
really
even the
sweet.
queen of the universe still gets flowers.
She sure does.
It's amazing.
Gosh.
You're so humble, queen. She drives an Uber.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I had 3 guys from Alabama today. Oh my gosh, they were hoots. Like around 529, there was a fatality accident. We got stuck in. They actually had to walk the rest of the way because, but it was like right there, less than a block. So, but they were just so much fun, and just to be able to talk to people. Like I'm an ambivert, and so I wing more towards an extrovert than an introvert. Mm-hmm. And so this is a lot of fun, just to be able to talk to people.
Sure.
And be like, hey, what's up?
Now it's your ministry.
Right.
Tell us about your ministry, Tracy. I mean, it's fine. It's like not saving lives at all. It's just up and coming. We're just trying something new at Tracy.
Well, I'm running for Queen of the Universe, and so I'm
lost.
trying to take tips from Melinda. Yes.
Maybe next year.
I know, I've been trying.
Dennis Turnipseed is going to be the judge of that.
Oh, God. Okay. I love D-Money. All right, so check it out. So I'm the director of a program called Changing the Game, and that is a program that, as on me, we created that program to work specifically with victims of trafficking and those that are caught up in the life, prostitution, drug addiction, sexual violence, sexual assault, and all that stuff that goes with it. And so, that's my role here. Well, I do some other stuff too, but that's probably my main jam.
I mean, none of them are getting you crowns.
I don't have a crown yet, Trey 9. Okay, praise the Lord.
Don't bring Trey into this.
How can you not?
What are you talking about?
How can you not? It's just
add you to his prayer list.
Right. Yeah, I know, right? Trey, I'm going to put together a really long text and send it to you.
Oh, he's going to. If you send it at 3 a.m, that's Trey's prime time, and so you'll get a response very quickly.
I know. He's like, Tracy, really? 4 paragraphs? I'm like, oh, okay, sorry.
Fine, Trey. When I asked Tracy to be on the podcast, it was, I mean, you see why, right? And Melinda like rolls up with her flowers to work at 4, and I'm like, just come lump into this because it's exciting. You guys are engaging. Like you've got great personalities, and you're like on fire for the Lord, but on very different paths, right? Like you're serving in the kingdom in different ways, and I think it just really highlights how we need. We can't all be hands. We can't all be feet. We can't all be noggins. You know what I mean? It's just we all in our different giftings are glorifying the Lord in that. And so I watch you guys in admiration, and I'm just like, how do I be like you? Because I see you guys have always been very transparent, like from the jump in any conversation I've had with either of you. And I think that's missing in a lot of circles because we want to, we've got an image we want to protect. We want to be like good Christians, or we want to just present a certain way. And I know that sometimes I don't look how one should. I use that word. I think should is a word of shame, is something that I heard recently from a good friend of mine. How did you get here? Because when I met you, you were not this like Beyonce walking the halls of God's point.
That's true.
I mean, the internal,
the queen of the universe.
100%.
I mean, that's amazing.
The internal to external transformation in you is like mind blowing. I've just always known you to be just like very always. Again, you didn't have to. You just led with that. What took it? What did it take to get you guys respectively at this table?
So for me,
go for it.
Yeah. So in December, and actually last year, I kind of went through like a blindsided depression. Didn't even realize it, and gained. I was the heaviest of my lifetime. I was at 328 pounds, and
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'd started drinking again in September, and it was just like my life, just everything, every event. It was just like I spiralized quicker than I have ever in my whole life, and I had a super traumatic childhood. And so it was kind of like, it's just a root, right, that grows. And so that spreads. And so it just really affected a lot of my choices. So here again, last year was just the worst time ever. I was in a toxic relationship, engaged to get married, had a ring sized, ready to go. And it was all based on a lie, and so I went to a clinic in November, and I was just like, okay, I'm done. I can't even get up these 3 flights of stairs delivering without being short of breath, and, so disconnected from everyone. And I was talking to Peggy. Peggy's my mentor, and so Jorge, the guy that I was with, he was like, hey, you know what? If you need to talk to anybody about us getting married, do it, So I called her one night, and I was just telling her everything. And she's like, wait a minute, where is he? And I was like, oh, he's in the room next door. And she's like, and he can hear you? And I said, yeah. I mean, he told me to talk to anyone, and like, I can talk to you about anything, because she'd love me regardless, I could not literally murder somebody, but you know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
she would still love me. And so, so anyway, she just asked me, she's like, well, what are you going to do, Melinda? And I was like, I don't know. She's like, well, you know that God cannot discipline you the way that he needs to when you are living in a place that's not the way that he wants you to. And I was just like, okay. And so it's still kind of like, you know, trying to get it together. And she's like, well, what are you going to do? And I said, I don't know. She's like, well, just let Spirit lead. And I said, okay. So the next morning, like, I was just, my mind was racing all night. And the next morning I woke up and I was just like, I'd made my decision. I was leaving. So I told him, I said, hey, I got to go. And he's like, wait a minute, what? And I was like, yeah, I got to go. And he's like, but we were going to be getting ready to move into another place. And I was like, yeah, I got to go. You know? And so it was literally like taking a step off of a canyon of faith and knowing that I didn't need to be there because my family was not my priority, you know, and I have children, I have grandchildren, you know, and it was like, and not just them, you know, I've got people that loved me, you know, that were there to support me that I wasn't honest with, you know, and so that's like the first thing, you know, in being in recovery, you know, is being honest about everything. And so anyways, I took the step out, called Rolanda. I was like, hey, you know what, this is what's going on. And I was out Uber driving, you know, delivering at the time. And I was like, hold on, sis, like, I got to text this customer, you know, because like I was making the arrangements of meeting her here. So I came and I stayed here at God's Point in the crisis department for the night. And the next day was to figure out where I was going to go. I was going to go to a place that required a COVID vaccine that I wasn't comfortable with. And she's like, hey, you know what? I manage a house out here in Hockley. You know, if you're interested, we have a bed open. Let me know. And I was just like, yeah, I'll do it. And she's like, well, no. Like, no hasty decisions, right? She's like, I'm going to send you the covenant. I want you to read over it. And then we'll go from there. If you agree, I'll send you the address and we can meet. So I pulled over and I read through it and I was just like, yeah, I'll do it. So I met her, moved out to the house December 22nd, and coming up on 8 months of being sober.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I've lost 127 pounds since then, and just being able to allow God to do the transformation, because when I first got there, I was super guarded and didn't want to let anyone in because I didn't want to repeat. It was like I knew that I was on my path to making better decisions, but then I also didn't want my boundaries that I had, my walls. I had some healthy and unhealthy walls up, you know? And so it was like, okay, God, like, I remember having to talk with my oldest daughter, Rebecca, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I love it out here. You know, it was almost like seeing for the first time, you know, because like the sky was just beautiful. And it was like, God, like, it was almost like him revealing himself, like, hey, you know what? Like, just like Paul, I removed the scales and he was able to see, like, I could actually see and appreciate his beauty again. And it was just like, God, he could just do the transformation if I allowed him to. And that's what he was waiting for, was complete surrender and obedience. And that's what he's been doing ever since, just the transformation because of that. And so I started working here at God's Point in February. And I've volunteered since 2016 with Eyes on Me. So I know the ins and outs and just whys, you know. And so just love being part of these children here. Like, it's just a super beautiful exchange, you know. They're just, like, looking for the love and just the light, you know, and to be able to be that for them and then to also receive it from them. It's just like, okay, you know what? Like, this is my jam, you know. And so SoFlo was a blessing. Like, I just said, hey, you know what? Like, it'd be so cool, you know. Like, I remember going to KSBJ as a teenager and teen night and just wanted to be in the radio industry. And he's like, well, let's get you on the team. And I was like, dang, that's not even what I was expecting. I was wanting to see if we could get the youth here out to visit the studio, you know? And so he's like, yeah. And so I got with that and got back with Peggy on Equipped. And so, yeah, like, God's just doing it. And so I'm just really grateful that I had the opportunity, you know, because circumstances could have been way different.
Sure.
And just to be able to bust my butt and just show, you know, like, I'm a living testimony, you know, that it can be done.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's him that does it with the self-control and the willingness, you know, to surrender and say, okay, let's go, God, because you've been calling me all along. And I was the one that was self-sufficient. And here it is. Let's just go.
I'm so glad that you said yes and that you're here. I love it. I really do. It is the coolest thing to see. And you guys get to work together here. And I'm sure that's a riot.
Yeah, we have some fun.
When did you start here? How did you get? There's so much backstory to how you got here. How much of it are you willing to share? Because it's the coolest thing.
Well, I mean, I've had a working relationship with Trey 9 since probably 2000. Well, I met him in 2004, and I was sitting in the Centacor treatment facility, and he had come in with this dude that his stage name is Cold Cuts. He's Pastor Chris Gamez, and they had come in there. That was before, Hip Hop Hope and before Eyes on Me and all that kind of business. And they had come in and they were doing like an assembly, for all of us. That's when I first met him. And then, of course, I graduated Centacor in 2006 and pretty much hit the ground running in ministry and doing different things.
Okay.
And but just over the years, when Trey would be out in the community or other people that I know now that are leaders and community leaders would be out doing work, and if they'd come across a chick that was in a lifestyle of prostitution or drug addiction or even a family, but mainly chicks, he would call and be like, "Hey, I've got this situation." And so I would had opportunities to get in the mix and, help with the exit plan, get her set up, get her into a facility or whatever, stuff like that. And so that went on for a lot of years. And as a matter of fact, I didn't even realize it, but I was thinking about that, about Hip Hop Hope. I was a speaker at the very first ever Hip Hop Hope at Prince Gym that Trey had started. Yeah, and I didn't even realize that until later and putting pieces together and stuff like that. I mean, I could be wrong, but I believe it started in Prince Gym. I believe that's the name of it. And yeah, I was working for Cool Ministries and I was booking prisons and doing all this different stuff. But I remember him contacting me to try to pull some people from the community in. But of course, we see where it is today.
Sure.
But that's how that relationship began with working specifically with Trey is those handoffs and responding to those needs that he would come across in the years back out in the field. And then, of course, here we are. So I came on board October 1 of last year.
Okay.
That's where I officially came on board and became an employee of Eyes on Me.
And then you officed here the office here in October?
Yeah, I've always had my office here.
Okay.
But I'm in
You're everywhere.
3 locations. Actually, even Brookshire once a month. But every week I'm in Southwest, Northside, Greenspoint, and then Southeast.
You're about to be at Burger King.
And so
today is my
yeah,
understanding,
I will be at Burger King today, as a matter of fact. Posted up. Mm-hmm.
That's
So. Mm-hmm.
Will you speak to, because these episodes drop in the Hip Hop Hope page on YouTube. We share them as much as we can on our other digital platforms. But there's so many different types of followers that we have. So many people that listen in that have crazy stories that are similar or very different than ours. If somebody is like on the fence, they're like, I don't really want to be sold out for Christ because then I'm going to have to stop. They just see it as rules, right? It's like these are these boundaries and these are things I can't do. How do you speak to that person that's like, what I'm doing right now is definitely not working, but I don't really know that Jesus is it either. Do you have like a take on that to share?
Well, I mean, just based on my experience, I've been doing this work close to 20 years, working with chicks in the life, girls in the motels, on the street, jail, prison, blah, 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 all that business, right? All the intersections that I was in, ended up in, and that they do. So they're all in different phases, if you will, of their health and wellness. It's
Sure.
getting better. And I think that's why I've purpose to, when we're out there, is to make it very much about, there is a means to an end, and we know that we want them, to soldier up and really get in the mix and really learn to walk the things out that God has created them to do, but it's through that, but it's through showing them that, like, those basic needs, basic necessities, cultivating that relationship, showing up week after week after week after week, not bringing opposition to a community,
Sure.
or offense, or, we're here to clean up. We're here to, it's not bringing any of that. It's totally, what's up? How you doing? What do you need?
Relational?
Yes.
1,000%. Right.
Yeah.
Which that's what Christ is about anyway.
Right.
So it's like, it's right. It's just that the church has got it so twisted, but, making it very relational, where they feel very safe, where they feel very comfortable, where they're not like, there she comes, and they go the other way, to where it's all about, oh, what's up? And there's those, and all those are moments where there's opportunities for conversations to happen. But I would say it's just about basically it's like, when you're ready, you let me know. Here's my phone number when you're ready to do something different.
Right.
I don't know if I totally answered your question.
No, I think it's great.
I can rabbit trail quite a bit with
Sure.
the best of them for sure. But yeah, just relationship. But this is the other side of that. So, because I'm remembering your question now, but about they're riding the fence and they're not sure. I have found when the Holy Spirit began to teach me that all the stuff I was doing in the life, I was taking risks, right? I was, running across the Gulf Freeway to get from one motel to the next. I'm in and out of cars. I'm getting locked up. I'm going from place to place. I'm pretending that this didn't happen. I'm shoving down the trauma. I'm dealing with the pain. I'm pretending that I didn't walk away from my son. I'm dealing with all of this regret and just devastation, and I'm going through it, but I'm taking all these quick chances, and I'm making quick decisions, and I'm manipulating people, and they're manipulating me, and all this stuff is popping off. Well, there's a true skill set in all that. And so when you're talking about building someone up, like, hey, come into the kingdom, God's got a plan for you. I have found it very helpful to first show them that, girl, did you know every single thing that you've been doing, all of those things is that's the girl that God wants. Because we're told so many times in recovery, I just told this to some chicks in Harris County Jail class I just taught. We're always told when you come into recovery, I know I was, and so many people have, I don't know if y'all have ever heard this term, but there's a saying when you come into recovery, there's only one thing you need to change when you come into recovery, and that's everything. Well, that has not been my truth. That has not been my truth. And for years, I would take certain scripture out of context. I've got to just forget all of this, and this is where, but to really, what does that word mean for my life when it says to forget those things and to press on? What is, what does that mean for me in my life? What is God asking me to forget and to move on?
Right.
And to press, right? So I have found that if I can give that girl a mirror and show her, just like it was a gift when the Holy Spirit started teaching me, oh man, I'm a risk taker. Well, you got to be a risk taker to be a leader, to be successful. I can make quick, fast decisions in a hurry. I can survive oh my God, with God's grace and living on the streets, because streets are no punk. You know what I'm saying? And surviving those situations. And that doesn't include all the trauma that led me through the door of sexual exploitation. That, that's before it, during it, after it,
right.
Sitting here today, I mean, it just, so to show them that and then say, that's the girl that God wants. He wants that go-getter, that crazy girl, that girl that's on a mission, bleeding the block, paper chasing. He can use that girl. Then it's like, oh, I do have value. You mean I can use that? Because so many of us, that's what kept us in the life, because it's like that's the only place I'm feeling like I can get down, like I have something to offer. I got a voice out here. I go over there, I don't have any voice. Nobody listens to me. My opinion doesn't matter. And so anyway, I could go on and on about that.
That's great.
But I absolutely, totally believe in the book of Numbers 13, where it talks about God promised these people an incredible life, but they were too scared to go and possess it. And that when the leaders went out to go and check out this bad to the bone life, this incredible city, they came back and gave the children of Israel a bad report. And they said, well, everybody else looked at us like we were grasshoppers, like we were nothing, so we must not be. Well, that's the mentality of every chick sitting in those motels that I help.
That's good.
And where they think they found their power is in running them men, running that game, turning them tricks, jumping in and out, making these quick decisions. That's why it's so hard for them to move, because that's the first time they've ever had it.
Right.
It's the first time. It's the only place I have a voice. So that's why I'm going to stay there.
Sure.
But so anyway, back to riding the fence is you can help them kind of push them over if it's like, bring her with you.
Yeah.
Bring that chick with you, because she is very needed in the kingdom.
Yeah. No,
That was the long answer.
No, that's good.
That's good.
Can I ask you actually a different question, if that's okay? I don't know if your identity has changed in the months that I have known you, or if your belief about your identity has changed, like who you are versus whose you are. And Mo and I just recorded something along those lines. as you think about your identity and the obvious internal to external transformation for you, it's not even just like the weight loss. It is the joy and security here. For like men and women who are just desperate to stop flailing in the wind. And like, I guess I'm going to be the party girl here, but I'm going to be the church leader here, but I'm going to be everything. How do you speak to that? Because I see you leading by example in that, or I'm very fooled.
Yeah, no, it's not a teeter-totter type life.
Yeah.
You're either fully in or you're not.
You're not lukewarm.
Exactly. And that's the thing. It's a total commitment, and just being focused, maintaining the focus. That's what, like, I had to remove distractions,
I remember that.
Distractions were people, they were places. It was all these things, and I was just like, okay, you know what? Like, I'm going to limit myself on how much I share, and I'm going to remove the distractions altogether because I know what my basics are. And so identifying what my basics are, which are read my Bible, prayer and worship, and being around my like-minded believers, those are my basics. Because if I'm outside of that, then I am wandering, And so I would say that as far as for me personally, like my identity's not changed. I've always known whose I was, but I know my truth, and I know that regardless of all of the trash, that I've gone through, God would never, like, he loves me the same exact way as he did when the day I was born.
Right.
Because he has a plan and a purpose for my life, just like he does everyone else. And it wasn't until I got to that point to realize, you know what, like, there's not anything that I've already done that he wouldn't say, hey, you know what, I forgive you and I love you and I'm going to provide for you. These are just the things that you have to let go and know who you are, right, and what I want for you and what I can do for you, and nobody else in this world can. And so that was the total game changer and the joy fulfillment and replacement of the crud.
Sure. You guys know the Mav City song Gyra, where it's like, I wasn't holding you up, so there's nothing I could do to let you down. Right. Like, I heard that. I remember the first time just being like, pause one time. This is the most brilliant, like, way to get the eyes off of ourselves, because we're just like, I've let you down, and I slept with my boyfriend again, and I did another line, and I, spent my money at Louis Vuitton when I, whatever, which, no shade on Louis Vuitton. I'm just saying, I'm trying to draw a connection to materialism here. It is becoming, at least in the circles that I am in and the trajectory that my life is on, with like beginning to church plant and doing a home church and moving away from like big church in a building, which, again, no shade on big church in a building. I just feel like this is where I'm being called. This idea of recovery. I sat around. We opened our home to people this past weekend, and there were people there who have gone through recovery for alcoholism. And what we kind of, as a collective, came to realize, and I've been through 12-step recovery programs more than once, was we often like start out with like, I'm Elizabeth and I'm an alcoholic. I'm not an alcoholic. That's not mine was control and anger and disordered eating. But like, we're so quick to continually remind ourselves of where we are prone to wander or things that defined us. And I'm like, how do we get to a point where we can just reject that and we're just like forgiven? Like, yeah, I was an alcoholic. I was whatever, but I'm not.
Right.
Do you think that there is wisdom in that train of thought, or the converse of making ourselves repetitively aware of where our strongholds may have been?
I think that there's freedom in just knowing that this is where I was, but that's not where I am anymore. Sure. And it doesn't identify me.
Right.
So if my choice was to eat, whatever I could, stuff myself with the food, that didn't identify me. It was a choice that I made. Sure. Because of the root of what I experienced as a child, but it doesn't, like, it's not, I don't even when we do, we have steps here at God's Point. It's a 12-step faith-based program, right? Recovery. And so we don't follow the steps as far as like AA is concerned, because obviously it's faith-based completely. And it's not to say like I'm not identifying myself as an alcoholic, you know, like I don't even say that, you know, I know what my triggers can be, you know, so I think that that's part of, I guess another kind of to veer off just a bit.
Sure.
Would be to identify what those things are. And so for me, it was alcohol, drinking, shopping, how I was taking care of myself, what I was watching, and environment, you know. And so those are big, major things, you know. And so just being able to actually visually draw out, Peggy was like, hey, you know what, like, I want you to imagine that you are in a house and you are, you're a sniper, you know, and you are trying to make sure that the enemy stays out. What are your doors? And how are you going to keep those doors closed? And so I was like, okay, I need more because I'm visual.
Sure.
Know? So I had to draw it out and actually draw each door. Each door had, you know, whether it was eating, watching, you know, all these things that I had to that I drew out. And I was hypervigilantly on the roof with my rifle, waiting for the enemy, because that he learns our, you know, our practices and will try anything, right? Schemes and lies. And so that is it's a great way. It was really helpful for me, you know, to identify that in my patterns, because even going through recovery, it's almost like a revelation each time, because it's like, oh, wow, you know what? I didn't even think about that, you know, so it challenges you more to think about, you know, scenarios and how you would actually handle these circumstances to avoid going back and to continue pressing forward.
No, I agree with that. What about you?
Well, I guess some of the stuff I'm hearing, so, I mean, I can certainly support that too about and I love that, you know, kind of the doors and, oh, for sure. But the doors, but, I guess, you know, when I think about it, so like, you know, recovery, I mean, for me, my truth, you know, recovery's not a cap and gown. So there's no graduation, you know, just like when people ask, for me, when people ask me, I mean, certainly there was a graduation from the Synacor program. I mean, I physically graduated, moved on or whatever, but it's just like, I guess for me, it's just like, you know, recovery is just like salvation. It's just like my walk with Christ, you know, learning more about God. It is an everyday. So I need to be on guard, watching those doors, you know, okay, what I'm hearing when you're like, hey, I was on the roof with a, you know, whatever, you know, gun or whatever to, you know, it's like getting in position. So let me get in position to protect that, you know. Yeah. The one thing I will say about the whole, you know, because you've heard it for years, you know, and absolutely our words are very powerful. Our words are 100% powerful. I need to be talking back to the enemy just like he has no problem talking to me. Mm-hmm. And guess what? That's a skill set I learned in the street, because I had no problem talking to tricks real crazy.
Will you please share with the masses, and by the masses I mean Elizabeth, what a trick is?
A trick, the buyer, a John trick.
Again, it's not landing on my
a trick,
Midwest
a dude that picks
ears.
up a chick on the street.
A pimp?
No, a buyer.
No. A pimp is a dude that traffics a chick for his benefit, for his gain.
Okay.
A renegade, like I was, that's working the street to support a drug habit, to squash my pain, to squash my hate, to pay life back. When a guy pulls up, we call him a trick, because I'm fixing to try to play this dude way before he even thinks about playing me. That's why he's called a trick. A trick is a dude that's picking a chick up on the street.
To use them for their sexual exploitation.
That's what they think is fixing to happen.
But first you get the dollars and then leave them high and dry?
That's the goal, always. Get them hooked on drugs, leave them high and dry, put them in a room. You get several of them at one time, load them all up in rooms, and then take their money and take off. Absolutely.
That's more you know. Kicks4Kingdom podcast is just over here. I don't know who else. Did you know this?
That's
okay.
That's why I teach on who's exploiting who.
Wow.
Because we exploited them probably more than they exploited us. In the end, in the beginning, you don't know any better. You don't really know. You don't know what's up. You think, but once you learn that game, so a dude rolls up to pick me up, there's a reason we call him a trick. I'm fixing to trick you. You think you're picking me up on your way home to your nice little house with your wife. You're going to pick me up to have sex. Okay. Keep thinking that. Because that is not what's fixing to go down. I'm fixing to take your car. I'm fixing to get your debit card. I'm going to get your PIN number. I'm fixing to withdraw thousands of dollars from your account. I'm going to introduce you to crack cocaine. We're going to take your clothes, and we're going to keep you in a motel room. We're going to steal your cell phone.
Oh my gosh. So it's like a game in a sense.
Absolutely. It's
Changing
a
the
game.
game.
Yeah.
It's absolutely a game. It's 1,000% a game.
Tracy Dudley. I had no idea. Like,
That's happening in all the motel I work in down the street. Every single chick is doing that right now. All the chicks on Telephone Road, all them chicks are doing that right now. And salt and peppered through all of that, there is very much true victims of human trafficking that have a pimp that are forcing them to live that life. My pimp was not a person. My pimp was crack cocaine. My pimp was trauma. My pimp was hate. My pimp was rejection. That was dictating what I was doing.
I feel like that should be a T-shirt. You know
What?
what I mean? For those that are broken free from the life, like my pimp was.
Yeah,
You know
right?
what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's why you hear me teach on the manipulation between
Sure.
the buyer and the seller.
Yeah. Wow.
Who's exploiting who? We're exploiting each other. That's why when we're going out and doing work, I'm talking to the chick and I'm working with the pimp and I'm talking to the doorman and I'm talking to the dope man. I'm talking to all of them because they're all just exploiting each other.
I wonder how many people are like, well, that's them. But it's like, no, but it's also yours just looks different. Like your pimp is your materialism, your tennis with your, well, I don't, you know what I mean? Like it's,
Whatever it is
whatever
that's
it
running
is.
you, that's, and so that kind of goes back to the whole addiction thing because there really is, you know, and we all get delivered different. We
Sure.
all get delivered very different. You know, my deliverance, I mean, I've always been the girl that is like, it takes me forever to get it. But when I get it,
Right.
it's fixing to go down.
Come on.
I'm fixing to run circles and blow this baby up, right? I've always been that girl, you know. And then a lot of that I've learned is because, you know, the barriers were my own trauma, my own self-doubt. Just like the children of Israel, you know, they don't think, everybody thinks I'm a grasshopper. I guess I can't do it. All of those barriers, you know.
Yeah.
But they're, like I said, everyone's delivery looks different. Some people have that delivery, you know, down on one knee, boom, and boom, instantly. That has never been.
Sure.
Now, I don't want to say never, but yes, as God's taken things out of my life, but then I've also had experiences where I have had like reoccurrences of use or different things that may have happened in my journey along the way where when someone is saying, you know, oh, hey, I'm Tracy, I'm Tracy, I'm an alcoholic drug addict, they're in position, they've recognized those doors, they know where they need to be in a sense. And this may not make sense to anybody, but as you were talking, Melinda, that's some things that were coming to my mind because we want to do away with the confession, but knowledge is power. So if I know where my doors are, and if I also know that the instant I put something in my body, it doesn't matter how saved I am. It don't matter how great I am. It doesn't matter what I've done. None of that matters. That disease of addiction is 1,000% going to totally take over. And I will not have a choice. I will be back on Telephone Road, smoking crack, shooting dope, and turning tricks. Because the disease of addiction. That's why I had said to you, Elizabeth, about when we were talking about your post and you were like,
oh yeah,
about picking up a drink, you know, I could pick up a drink, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, she must not be an addict because there is no, I can't. And so there's, I guess it's such a fine, you know, I guess it's just another perspective.
Right.
You know, because I don't need to walk around all day. I'm a drug addict. I'm an alcoholic. I mean, I'm not practicing that.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I need to know, I need to have knowledge of me.
Right.
And that knowledge could be just like I love barbacoa tacos and Cokes, obviously.
Conversation yesterday.
Man. But I'm just saying, right? Yeah. But I mean, but I also know that knowledge that for whatever reason, and it is the way it is, if I pop one pill, if I take one sip of Budweiser, I am at the dope house. I can't stop it. I have no choice in the matter. I have no say-so in the matter. Zero, period. It's the same with the result from trauma. When the brain's been affected, that person growing up, they have no choice. They cannot do anything other than how their brain has been underdeveloped to help. That's where you see those kids from hard places and they're doing all this crazy stuff. They don't have any choice in the matter. They can't help it. Their brain has been literally affected by that. Right, rewired.
Right.
Well, it's the same for a person who is a true alcoholic and drug addict with the disease of addiction.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, this could open up, you know, my goodness, so much conversation.
Yeah.
And And we all know, and we know Jesus is the healer and he takes us from glory to glory, but what does that look like for you?
Right.
What does your walking it out, glory to glory, stepping it out, what does that mean, for each individual's life? And I think that, over the years, what I've seen, so I think that that's the piece that maybe sometimes people aren't totally educated on why a person is saying I'm an alcoholic.
Right.
Because they're like, I know what time it is. I know what's fixing to go down if I do not mark my turf, mark my areas and get in position and know, man, I already know what's fixing to go down.
Right.
I don't know if that helps.
No, that's great. And I think it's a great way to kind of tie a bow on this, which is being aware of your triggers, being willing to take the risk enough to consider what those might even be. Because for some of y'all and for us at this table, right, like that's a really scary dialogue to realize this is what triggers me, this is what's not. But the common denominator here for the three of us, as we have walked through our own stories of redemption, and then for anybody that's watching, is that like there's no condemnation in that. There's just not. Like you cannot out-sin the glory of God. Period. End of story. Like you cannot. You just can't, right? And then and if you think so, then you're probably struggling with pride a little bit, and a lot of
not me. I have no pride. I've never had pride.
No, but you also don't have a crown as the queen of the universe, as my friend Melinda. So I am really thankful.
Oh, let me get that
two.
Knife out.
Stop it. Unity in the church. We love each other.
Unity. Yes, we all very good girls. Unity in the church. Praise the
girls.
Lord.
We're perfect in every way. Just imitate us as we imitate Christ, which is kind of like, I think that there is some truth to be said about the way that I think we are all trying to live our lives, which is in a way that imitates Christ.
Right now. I want some barbacoa tacos.
Let's go get it.
Coca-Cola.
I'm so thankful for you guys. Today, I'm thankful to you guys for watching. Where can the people find you on social media? And then we're going to go get tacos.
We are?
Y'all are.
Okay.
Maybe.
All right.
Well, I mean, I know because of great people like yourself, I know that you can find out information about Changing the Game on Eyes on Me.
That's correct.
Inc. And then Changing the Game actually has a Facebook page. And so we're in all three communities. So we're Southeast, Sunnyside, God's Point, which is in Greens Point, and also Southwest Houston. So hit your girl up. And then I'm also on social media, Tracy Dudley.
Tracy Dudley. M. Sanchez. Melinda.
I am, God's Point Mission Center. That's what I manage here. And then SoFlo Radio, of course. Equipped app. That's on all platforms, socials. And my personal is Melrod139.
Melrod.
Hey, girl. Hey.
I didn't say. Well, I got, my IG is T-Dud Cadillac.
Okay.
So, okay.
Cadillacing.
You guys are hilarious. You guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you on our next episode of the Kicks4Kingdom show.